We are live. We are live. Welcome to College Football's Peek Around the Corner with your host, Greg Pflugar. We cover everything in college football because we love everything in college football. And if you do as well, please subscribe to our channel. Smash the like button if you like our content. Ring that notification bell. Share the video if you want to support our Rebel Outpost, National Independent College Football's Rebel Outpost with a donation to help us keep the lights on and grow the channel. Just hit that $ where you make your comment and I will get to your super chat as quick as I possibly can. Welcome everybody into the studio that sits on the corner. The studio that sits on the corner of Keith Jackson Parkway and Kurt Gowdy Avenue. Do not be afraid. Do not be afraid to become a legend with your comments and with your phone calls. Well, we've got a very interesting banger of a live show coming to you April 20th. Connect the dots, connect the dots, connect the dots. We just heard for the first time in many months, our last live show. Our last live show is the Ohio State Buckeyes spring game, which was a lot of fun on Saturday. I'm talking about Friday night's live show. We heard for the very first time in a long time, not the first time, but in a long time, the Florida State Money Perch. And he's a little bit optimistic. I got to tell you, he's a little bit optimistic on what he is hearing in Tallahassee. They think they're in the game now. They think they've got a shot to get to the P2. First time that the Florida State Money Perch has reached out to us, talked to us. I got the okay to talk about what he said, and then bam, the Florida State Athletic Director, Michael Alford. And this is not the first time that this has happened, by the way. December 26, 2022, the Florida State Money Perch told us in 2 months that Florida State was going to say something. And on February 24th, 2023, Michael Alford came out and said that things have got to change in the ACC. I mean, this is not by, well, you can believe whatever you want to believe. I'll leave that all up to you. This is not by coincidence. There is optimism in Tallahassee. Now, again, great. Michael Alford, basically he said that the next 24 months is very important. He did not say that Florida State has an invite to the Big Ten. He did not say that Florida State had an invite to the SEC. I did not say he said that. I've never said he said that. I have never believed that. I'm not the one who told you that. However, if you allow me to be as honest to you as possible, and I have been, with the negative, with the positive, and everything in between. If Michael Alford, and he did say this, the next 24 months, we're going to get back into it. I apologize. We're jumping all around. I apologize. Mowing After Dark. Again, I was 100% wrong. CM Punk did an outstanding job. But that's the last of the Greg the Cooler. That is the last of the Greg the Cooler's predictions that he's going to get wrong. Greg is so cold, he uses liquid nitrogen to take a warm bath. All right. Get your last shots in. Get your last shots in Mowing After Dark, because my Big Ten predictions, my ACC predictions, order finish prediction, and all the conference college football playoffs, you're gonna have to call me Mr. Nails, because I'm gonna nail it all. Mowing After Dark, I am gonna nail it all. Okay. Thank you, Mowing After Dark. Thank you, Mowing, my friend. I appreciate it. Okay. We've got a lot to get to today. We're going to get to the Florida State. I'm going to talk about Notre Dame again. Sorry, not sorry. Sorry, not sorry. Because in this On 3 article, there was a little bit in there that basically eloquently describes the fear of the Notre Dame Fighting Irish. We'll get into that. And we're going to get into the Auburn Tigers PATC Spotlight. We're going to get into the I Do Declare updates from the PATC Einsteins. We've got a lot to get to today. A lot to get to. I just want to show you guys. There is a lot here. You know, in that second paragraph, Michael Alford says, the next 24 months are very important. I think that 24 months is very important, but let's push that aside for right now. Because we think there could be potentially more movement within the industry. We think, we believe That is exactly what we are getting here at Peek Around the Corner. We had a live show on this. We had a live show on the timing of all this. We've even come out here at Peek Around the Corner, and not a prediction, but a report that there is a mounting evidence that North Carolina has to make a decision. They want to make a decision. They're going to do everything they can to make a decision on or before June 1st, 2027. And I got a feeling, again, I don't have this tight in like I have the North Carolina info, but I got a feeling that Michael Alford is working with the same calendar as North Carolina. There's a belief out there. There is this thinking out there. Remember, for Florida State to be playing in the Southeastern Conference, for North Carolina to be playing in the Southeastern Conference, for North Carolina and Florida State to be forming their own conference, whatever the final result is, to be able to do it on July 1st, 2028, you got to file your notice of withdrawal to the ACC on or before June 1st, 2027. And we've gotten that rate from Chapel Hill. And now Michael Alford is talking about 24 months. But that's not the first time we've heard all that. This is Mark Coyle, University of Minnesota athletic director. Whether it's 2 days or 2 years, I do think there's going to be continued fluctuation because we are in this House settlement. The Big Ten, they're trying to find revenue. There are peers in other conferences trying to do the same. We have the best media deals in the country, so there's going to be movement. Again, Mark Coyle doesn't talk that way. He doesn't talk at all. Okay, and before we get on to the rest of we're going to hit this hard. We're going to hit this like nobody else's business on this live show. But how do I illustrate this? How is it being illustrated to me? Sure, I can go in the Holy Smokes Theater right now, but I'm going to try something different, okay? I'm going to try something different. There is this tent. And we're going to call this, well, there's a couple of tents. There is this Big Ten tent. There is this big Southeastern Conference tent. Okay? And Mark Coyle, the Minnesota athletic director, he is in the Big Ten tent. Now, we're almost on the outside, but we're in. We're in. Minnesota's in the Big Ten. And Mark Coyle's hearing all this. He knows what the Big Ten's war game is. He knows what they have mapped out to a certain degree. They don't know if everything's going to go the Big Ten's way. They probably won't. They may, but they won't. Maybe. Yes, no. But he knows, he's heard that timetable. He's heard that timetable. Else he would not have said 2 days from now or 2 years from now. He would have said 2030. Just like the national reporters. 2030, 2030. Well, we're here at Peek Around the Corner, the chatter behind the curtain. It's never been 2030. As you all know, because you guys watch our show. It's never been about 2030. It never has been. Even though that's what the national reporters think. No. That's what the national reporters say out loud. But what they're saying behind the curtain, they're not saying 2030 either. But I'm able to tell you this. It ain't going to be 2030. Now, Mark Coyle is in the tent. So he's picking up on this. Michael Alford, the Florida State athletic director, says let me get back to it. And don't worry, we're going to get back into all this again. We're setting the table. All we're doing at the beginning of this show is setting the table. All right? So if you just come on in, you haven't missed anything, We're going to get back to this at the end of the monologue, and we're going to hit it hard. Because this is a type of there is so much that is going on today. All right? Buckle up, brace for impact. So when Michael Alford says the next 24 months, again, Michael Alford doesn't say the next 48 months. Michael Alford doesn't say 2030. He doesn't say 2029. The next 24 months are very important because we believe, we have reasons to believe, there could be potentially more movement within the industry. So we need to make sure daily that we are preparing ourselves for that. And that is what's going on. And that has what has been going on. It's called positioning. It's called understanding what the SEC wants. It's about understanding what the Big Ten wants. It's about trying to figure out even other options if those two options don't work. And it's daily. It's daily positioning. And there's a whole lot of NDAs out there. A whole lot of NDAs out there. And again, we're going to get back into this. But Michael Alford, again, uses the next 24 months. The next 24 months. Within the next 24 months. Not starting 24 months from now. The next 24 months. From here until the next 24 months. And I would argue the next 18 months. The next 16 months. This is what Mark Coyle said. This is what Michael Alford said. And Michael Alford is not in the tent. He's not in the Big Ten tent. He's not in the SEC tent. His body is not in either one of those tents. However, why is Michael Alford saying the next 24 months are important? Because he has received enough information back to have reasons to believe that that is when it starts to happen. Or that is when the end results of whatever's going on now happens. And he's heard that from whom? Florida State's talking with everybody. So is Clemson. So is Miami. So is Virginia. So is North Carolina. And all that is happening right now. And it has been happening. Michael Alford did not come out and say, well, we don't know. I mean, we got to do all we can. We got to do all we can to get ready for 2030. That's not what they're saying in private. That's not even what they're saying in public anymore. And again, nothing is promised here. Nothing is settled. Nothing is done. Nothing is imminent. I really don't believe anything is imminent. Now, I could end up being wrong, okay? And if I'm wrong, I'll come out here and I'll take the big L. Something that I did not do with Colorado, Arizona, Utah, Arizona State. Something that I did not do with USC, UCLA. Something that I did not do with Washington, Oregon. But I could do it here. If something is imminent, then I am going to be wrong. But I don't think there is. But I do know there's NDAs flying around. Can't talk any more about that. I know there's positioning going on. And I know Florida State is one of those. And Michael Alford does not come out and say, we believe the next 24 months. Now, what Michael Alford is not going to say, what President Richard McCullough is not going to say, they're not going to say the following. Well, we think, we are in talks with the Big Ten. We are in talks with SEC. We think we got a shot here. We think we got a shot there. No. That would violate the NDA. No. You're not going to hear that. So if you don't hear that, and if you're a Seminole fan, don't panic. Because I would panic if they did say something like that. No. All Mike Alford is saying is we believe, they have reasons to believe, there's going to be potentially more movement in the industry the next 24 months. And we got to prepare ourselves daily because it could happen. It could happen quicker than we all believe. Now, again, we came out a couple of months ago and we did say it was not a prediction, it was a report that North Carolina is going to figure out what they need to figure out on or before June 1st, 2027. And I think Michael Alford is working off the same calendar. I think they've all got some of the same information. Or they might have exactly the same information. Their noses might be sticking in the same tent. SEC, for example. They're not in the tent, but their noses are sticking in there, their ears are sticking in there to where they know they're picking up what is being talked about. And again, there's other parts to that article from War Chant. There's a part in there what Peter Collins says. And all of this impacts Notre Dame Fighting Irish. I get it. Notre Dame has been football independent since they were birthed. They value their football independence. I get it, guys. I get it. I understand. Midwestern Catholic, black-haired Irish family. I get it. We get it. But the world is going through dramatic changes, and it's affecting everybody. And at some point, it's going to affect Notre Dame. And there is a little bit of a hint in there, in that article, that we talked about in episode 486. If you missed it, go to 486 episodes. Go to our library of episodes. That episode's for everybody. It basically gives the blueprint on why Notre Dame might have to make a change because of what Florida State might end up doing. Now, I'm not just talking about conference affiliation. I'm talking about what Florida State might end up doing if they stay in the ACC longer than they want to. What other ACC member institutions might be doing to their Olympic programs. Because they have to. Because the math doesn't work. And that is what Notre Dame does not want to happen. They do not want the ACC's Olympic sports to decline and fall right off the table. Why do you think Pavakwa was at the round table with Cody Campbell and Donald Trump and Greg Sankey? Pavakwa was saying at the round table, maybe we should be talking about an Olympic tax. Maybe if you spend more over on football and basketball, some of that money's got to go to your Olympic sports. Notre Dame cannot afford their Olympic non-revenue school team sponsored sports to decline to where they cannot play for the national championships because their interpolitical situation at Notre Dame, it would erupt. They love their independence. They love their football independence, but they cannot allow their lacrosse. They cannot allow their soccer, their women's basketball, they cannot allow all of that to slip off into the abyss. I mean, my goodness. Why do you think Notre Dame Fighting Irish moved their hockey from Hockey East to the Big Ten? We're going to get into all of that. All of it. But first of all, I want to thank everybody for joining us. We're going to do a quick roll call. We've got other business to attend to. And then we're going to be talking about the Florida State Athletic Director, Michael Alford. And we're going to be talking about Notre Dame and everything else that you guys want to talk about. But buckle up, brace for impact. This is going to be a wild show. Wild show. Preston from North Carolina. Death, taxes, and Greg the Cooler, the only sure things. All right, so CM Punk showed me up. CM Punk showed me up, but that's it. That's the last time anybody shows up, the fat guy from Minnesota. Job well done, CM Punk and Roman Reigns. Job well done. Spectacular. Absolutely spectacular. All right, what else we got going on here? We've got another super chat, MBM. My goodness, a massive super chat. This is a big one. Cowgirl basketball just picked up the commitment from Adi Crooks, the Iowa State Cyclone, the dominant big center, and the Oklahoma State Cowboys got her. Go Pokes. Go Pokes, MBM. Thank you so much for your massive super chat and your incredible support to our program, Mr. Cowboy. I appreciate it. Congratulations. Congratulations. The Cowboys are going to be in the hunt for the Big 12 championship in college women's basketball. And I did see the tape. Bill G, he sent me the tape, and I broke it down. The highlights. Drew Mestemaker. A bomb here and a bomb. He looks. Yeah, he threw that early interception, but he looks fantastic. You know, I got the Cowboys coming in fifth. I may have been coward of the county here. I may have been coward of the county with that pick. Utah, Houston, I don't know. I think that the Cowboys might move up to number 3 come August. Or maybe even number 2, BYU. Maybe even number 2. And again, I'm Greg the Gold this year, so the Cowboy fans are cheering me on because I'm definitely Greg the Gold this year. Bill G, holy smokes. Holy smokes. 5 gifted memberships once again from the incredible, edible Bill G, the architect, Bob Swanger. Roll Tide is in the house. Stephen and Christopher Schubert all received the gift membership by Bill G. When you get an opportunity, please say thank you to Bill G. Please say thank you to Bill G for his generosity. And all of you can go to our library of episodes, watch all the episodes of Early Peak Cloak and Dagger member-only episodes, and give them a watch. And all of you are knighted officially. Cloak and Dagger, welcome to the family. Welcome to the family. Thank you, Bill G. Please say thank you to Bill G for his incredible generosity. Thank you, Mr. Cowboy. Appreciate it. Appreciate it very much. We got a lot of people in here. Almost 100. Holy smokes. Florida Man is in the house. The Sun Devil Ager is here. Go Sun Devils. Nick, the Virginia Tech Hokies. The Big Lubbock. Rodney Richboard. Go Tigers. Preston from Greensboro. Rich Austin. Breeze Frey. Mountaineer Memes is in the house. Daniel Gorby. Thank you, Daniel Gorby, for giving. Thank you for keeping your head on a swivel. Thank you for giving me the heads up on that On3 article. Thank you, Mr. Daniel Gorby. Very much appreciated. Chad Price is in the house. Go Rutgers, chop LSU of the North. Something like that. Bimba 75-79. Bimba, you and I are going to have a conversation. Bimba 75-79. Tuffy Duffy. Jay Go Blue. Curtis. There's a lot of Wolverines in the PATC family. I love all of you, but we might have to have an intervention. We might have to have an intervention in the Wolverine part of the family here at PATC. Bryce Underwood, again, am I overreacting? Am I? Or am I underreacting to Bryce Underwood's not so good performance in the spring football game? Let me know, Bimba 75-79. Let me know. The Carr kid, the young kid, looked pretty good. Tazbo's in the house. Doc Boots is here. Oh my goodness, we got Mr. Seminole Win. The Osceola Trucka is in the house. Thanks for coming on in. I appreciate it. I appreciate it, sir. I know you're a busy man. John Dry's in the house. D5 Terps, Jay Chapman, Steven Vitt. A lot of people here. Holy smokes. Grateful Trojan, thanks for coming on in. Jerry, thank you. Friends call me Sean. Florida State joins the conference that asked first. Ben White, thanks for coming on in. I appreciate it. Karan Shakar, what kind of AI pick is that? The one that I tell them to make. It is the one that I tell AI to make, Karan Shakar. Jan Hoke is in the house. The other Gygax is here. Kenneth Maynor will still be in the same position 25 months from now. Woo! Don Scruggs, the Georgia Bulldogs. The Georgia Bulldogs is in the house. Look out. Jansen Roberts. Who else is here? I don't want to skip over anybody. I appreciate y'all coming on in. The Architect, Charlie Atwood. Thank you for coming on in. I appreciate it. Michael M. Thank you very much. Go Blue. I can't believe I actually caught your live show on time. Love your show, Greg. Thank you, Go Blue. I appreciate it. Go Black 45, the Army of 48 breakaway. Jansen Roberts, thank you so very much. Buckeye Greg is in the house. Thank you, Buckeye Greg. Johnson Ho is here. Dave B is here. All right, let's get on with it. David Hall, go green, go green. All right, first thing we got to do is we got to give you the I Do Declare update. Again, the I Do Declare, you put down a super chat. You start with the phrase I do declare. You make it a prediction in the 2026 season, a prediction that has to end by the end of the championship game. I give you a valuation point from 1 to 5. 1 being it's most likely to occur, 5 being most unlikely to occur. You get points deducted or you get the points of the valuation if you get it right, if you get it wrong. Again, D-Don, OP-D-Don, LSU Ole Miss, game viewership 12 million plus, valuation of 3 points. Badgers win the Axe, Ryan Willie, valuation of 2. Illinois goes to the CFP, Illini Ted, PATC Einstein, a valuation of 4. So if Illinois goes to the playoffs, Illini Ted collects 4 points. If they don't, 4 points are going to be deducted from Illini Ted. Kiffin will win more playoff games than Ole Miss. Ryan Brooks, a valuation of 1. Fleck will leave Minnesota to join Florida State before Minnesota's first college football playoff. It's got to happen this year. Of course, that's a valuation of 5. The Pokes will go 1-1 versus Texas Tech. RT, that's a valuation of 5. The Tar Heels will make the bowl game. Preston, valuation of 3. Florida goes 8-4. Kenny Maynard, valuation of 4. ECU will upset Alabama. Maynard will get 5 points if that happens. Iowa State will go at least 6-6. Big gun shop. Valuation of 4. Clemson will defeat LSU. Cranky Tiger. Valuation of 3. Undefeated Miami and SMU in the ACC championship game. Kenny Maynard. A valuation of 5. And we've also got 3 more. Natty game versus 2 Big Ten teams. Studzilla, valuation of 4. The Southeastern Conference is going to be the worst CFP record among Power 4 conferences. Jimmy Austin, valuation of 4. And the Buckeyes will win the Natty. Buckeye Greg, a valuation of 2. All right. So there it is. That's your I do declare updates. Everybody understand. And the more that they come in, the more we'll lay them down. And as the season goes on, we'll give you points. We'll deduct points from you. And somebody's going to be declared the I do declare world champion of college football. I hope we have a lot of fun with this. Again, you got to get your I do declares in during the off season. Once the season starts, the book is closed and we'll see what happens. All right. Okay, let's get to the Auburn Tigers. Before we get into the Florida State situation and the Notre Dame situation and the North Carolina situation. Hold on 1 second, please. Here we go. That is not correct. We are having a production issue, which is my fault. The Auburn Tigers start with Byron Brown, the quarterback to transfer from USF. 2026 stats. Now, Byron Brown had an incredible season last year. Really, he did. And it kind of went unnoticed for many people. Over 3,100 yards passing, 28 touchdowns, 7 interceptions, 66.3 completion percentage, 167.1 quarterback rating. That's sensational. He ran for over 1,000 yards. And again, sacks get counted against your rushing yards for a quarterback in college. 1,008 yards, 5.8 yards per rush, 14 rushing TDs. No wonder why Golish wanted Byron Brown in the portal. Holy smokes. An outstanding year at South Florida. Now, is he going to be able to get close to this production playing in the Southeastern Conference? Probably not close. And Jay Chapman says, and he's not Jackson Arnold. Well, he does have help here. Jeremiah Cobb, who had a very good season last year for Auburn. 969 yards rushing. 5.5 yards per rush. 5 rushing touchdowns. 11 receptions. Jeremiah Cobb is going to be RB1 for Auburn. But that's not all that they got in the backfield. Remember, Coach Golish came from University of South Florida. The South Florida Bulls, right? Byron Brown, again, came from South Florida. We see this, we always see this, right? A big-time G6 head coach gets a power forward job, and he brings his best guys with him. Kirk Cignetti obviously did it at Indiana with the James Madison crew. We see that all over the place, where we're seeing it right here in Auburn, Georgia. Besides Byron Brown, Nakahi Davenport, a big bruising running back from the University of South Florida. 612 yards rushing, 6.2 average yards per rush, 7 rushing touchdowns. So Golish, Auburn, the new head coach, bringing in Byron Brown, bringing in Davenport to be the RB2 behind Jeremiah Cobb. But that's not all. The Auburn Tigers are also bringing in Keyshawn Singleton, who had 50 receptions from Byron Brown, 877 yards from Byron Brown, 17 and a half average reception yardage, stretches the field. Tony Livingston, Brown and Livingston in South Florida. Now it's going to be Brown and Livingston in Auburn, Alabama. So, the Auburn Tigers have restacked their deck when it comes to the offense. And that's a good thing, because Auburn's offense has been struggling. It struggled under Hugh Freeze. He had a struggle with the quarterback position. But what about the defense? Well, we do know that Auburn is bringing back their superstar. He was an absolute beast last year. Xavier Atkins, the linebacker. 60 solo tackles, led the SEC. 17 tackle for losses, led the SEC. 9 sacks. Xavier Atkins stayed in Auburn, and he is an absolute monster. So, Auburn's got some talent. Golish has done a good job in the portal, and he kept Xavier Atkins. He kept Jeremiah Cobb. Let's take a look at the Auburn football schedule. They start out that Baylor game. Now, last year, that was probably Jackson Arnold's best game. He ran all over the Baylor Bears. This time it's Auburn at Auburn-Baylor, round number 2. And then they play against Southern Mississippi. Florida is Auburn's first SEC conference game, at home against Florida, at home against Vanderbilt, at Tennessee, at Georgia, at home against LSU, at Ole Miss. So you're looking from October 3rd to October 31st, 3 road games: Tennessee, Georgia, Ole Miss, and your home game is LSU. That's a pretty tough October. That's a gruesome October for the Auburn Tigers. Then it's Arkansas, Mississippi State, Samford, and Alabama at Alabama in the Iron Bowl. So they can come out of October with a chance to get to a bowl game. Let's say they got 5 wins going into November. They're going to get there. Decent September. They can work with that November, but that October is going to be a struggle for the Auburn Tigers. Alex Golish, the new head coach, bringing on Byron Brown from South Florida, bringing on Davenport from South Florida, bringing on Singleton from South Florida, retaining the great Jeremiah Cobb and the superstar Xavier Atkins. The Auburn Tigers, can they make it to a bowl game? This is what I have for my predictions for the Auburn Tigers right now. Again, I can switch it. I can switch it up in the month of August, but right now I've got Texas, LSU, Georgia, Ole Miss, Texas A&M, Alabama, Florida, Oklahoma, and you do not see Auburn until number 12. You do not see Auburn until number 12. Missouri, Eli Drinkowicz got his program going. Josh Heupel, Shane Beamer. I don't know if Alex Skolish in his first year can finish ahead of those teams. Right now, I do not have him doing it. I do have John Summerall with the Gators coming in 7th. So there it is. Put it down. Let me know how wrong I got it once again with the Auburn Tigers. But that has been your spotlight. Spotlight on the Auburn Tigers. Peek around the corner spotlight. Byron Brown, Singleton, Davenport, Jeremiah Cobb. They got a group of guys who've been successful, who've been productive. And, of course, the great linebacker, Xavier Atkins, incredible linebacker. All right, so let's get to it, ladies and gentlemen. Let's get to it. Make sure I haven't missed anything here. Hold on. We got Osceola Trucker. Sorry, Osceola Trucker. Greg the Gold is a myth, just like the Sasquatch. Holy smokes. No respect is going on here. No respect for my predictions. Just because I finished below 500 in 2025 and in 2024 and 2023. Oh, and I almost forgot, and 2022. Just because I finished below 500 in my picks against the spread in the last 4 years, it doesn't mean a thing. It does not mean a thing because Greg the Gold is on its way. Greg the Gold is on its way. Thank you so much, Osceola Trucker, for being a Cloak and Dagger member for 16 months. 16 months. Holy smokes. You are officially knighted, my friend. Cloak and Dagger. Thank you, Osceola Trucker. Thank you so very much. I appreciate the generosity. I appreciate you being a member for 16 months. Thank you very kindly. Now, let's get to it. We've gone through the I Do Declare updates. We've gone through the Auburn Tigers spotlight. warchant.com. Now we're going to take our time with this. In some ways, and basically always, it is really describing what is going on right now. Massive spending increases add pressure to Florida State athletics. Budget could soar to $250 million in 2027. The Florida State Seminoles, they're priming the pump. They're going into some debt spending. They got to make themselves as attractive as possible. They know the game. They know their situation. And it is better now than it was 24 months ago. And they hope they can get in within the next 24 months. When Florida State Athletic Director Michael Alford made a presentation to the University Board of Trustees during a retreat last week, he shared plans, and again, it's no coincidence that we brought up the Florida State Money Perch comments on Friday night. It's not a coincidence. Alford made a presentation to the University Board of Trustees, shared plans for another massive increase in spending as the Seminoles strive to compete on a national landscape. According to slides shared at the trustees' annual retreat, Florida State's athletic department plans to spend over $250 million in fiscal year 2027. That is a 25% increase from what Florida State spent on athletics just 2 years earlier. when the Seminoles in 2025 expenditures soared over $200 million for the first time ever. A huge chunk of the latest increase stems from the $22 million rev share. Okay? We know all about that. Most of the programs decided to opt in at the highest amount to remain competitive in recruiting and talent acquisition. You're seeing universities have to make decisions because of the financial implications, Alford said. Whether they fall into irrelevance, whether they maintain status quo, or radically leap forward. FSU is firmly in the group that is charging ahead. On that note, the Seminoles are also planning to spend more money than ever on staffing for football program, including the hiring of a new general manager and several staff members in the scouting department. There are also additional expenses coming up for maintenance across the department and Title IX improvements. While these financial headwinds are hitting athletic programs around the country, Alford pointed out that Florida State is in an especially challenging position because of the relatively stagnant annual distributions generated by the Atlantic Coast Conference. The cost of business is just outgrowing the pace of revenues. And this is the PATC money shot number 1 of this article. And there is 3 of them. There is 3 PATC money shots. All of them are important. According to a chart that illustrated the widening revenue gap between the Power 2 and other conferences, the Big Ten distributed an average of $75 million to its schools for the 24-25 fiscal year. SEC schools received $67 million from their conference, while the ACC schools got $44 million and the Big 12 lagged behind at $39 million. If nothing changes, here it comes. Here is PATC money shot number 1. If nothing changes over the next decade, the numbers will become even more daunting. According to current projections, the ACC would distribute an average of $73 million per school in 2036, while the SEC and the Big Ten would average around $130 million per school. Now we're going to stop right here for a moment. We're going to stop right here for a moment. The Big Ten distributed an average of $75 million to its schools for the 24-25 fiscal year. $75 million conference payout per school. In 2036, the ACC will be distributing $73 million per school. So 10 years from now, the ACC's conference payouts will match what the Big Ten paid out last year. Now again, this is the main motivation of why Florida State and Clemson went to the courts. This is the motivation right here. You get so far behind the conference payouts, man, oh man, you're asking too much of your boosters. You're asking too much of your university. You're asking too much of your state. At some point, it caves in. If you want to compete at the highest level in as many sports as you possibly can, right? Think about it this way. Think about it this way. You know what? I won't go there yet. I won't go there yet. That $73 million per school payout in the ACC, that's pretty accurate. That is going to be probably pretty accurate because they all can look at the projections, the tier 1 payouts, the ACC network payout. It goes until 2036. The SEC and the Big Ten, those are estimates, right? What is the Big Ten going to get in its next media negotiations? What is the Southeastern Conference? It could be $130 million. It could be $120 million per school. It could be $140 million per school. We don't know, but it's going to be a lot. The ACC number has a better chance of being accurate. The SEC and the Big Ten, probably a little bit of a wild card in there. But either way, it's going to be a big financial gap. We're going to circle back to that. Okay, we're going to circle back to that. Now, money shot number 2 of the article. That disparity is precisely why Florida State and other schools are stretching their limits financially to remain as attractive as possible. Other schools, Florida State, North Carolina, Miami, Virginia, Georgia Tech, they're all priming the pump. They're stretching their limits financially to remain as attractive as possible should there be a new round of conference realignment or even a move to a Super League for football. The next 24 months are very important because we think there could be potentially more movement within the industry, Alfred said. So we need to make sure daily that we are preparing ourselves for that. The next 24 months, we think, we believe, and they think that, and they believe that because that's what they are hearing. That's the steam, the chatter behind the curtain. That is what they are getting. A little bit of info here, a little bit of info there in SEC country and Big Ten country. The same information that Peek Around the Corner has been delivering to you. We do not think this is a 2029, 2030 phenomenon. This is going to be earlier than that. The next 24 months. He did not say in 24 months things become important. The next 24 months. On April 20th, it's an important date. April 21st is an important date. The next 24 months. Positioning, and at some point, something will become imminent. We don't think it's today, but something becomes imminent. That's money shot number 2. We spent time on this one earlier in the program, but there's more. There is more in this article, and I think there's something here that most people are not paying attention to, but we got to bring it to your attention. We have to bring it to your attention. Alford pointed out that despite limited resources, Florida State already spends like a Power 2 program. He showed the trustees a slide stating that the average projected operating budget for schools in the Big Ten and the SEC will be about $255 million for 2027, which is just slightly ahead of Florida State's $250.7 million. Here is the final slide that I'm going to be showing you. The Seminoles also have looked at the idea of taking a tiered approach to how the department invests in various sports. They could continue spending at the highest levels in football and men's and women's basketball. Those are the sports that can generate additional revenue as part of the ACC's new success initiatives, while backing off the spending in some non-revenue sports. No votes were taken during the retreat, But Collins said the school should keep that option on the table as it looks to control cost. This is the PATC money shot number 3. And this ties into a lot of what we're talking about when it comes to Notre Dame. Florida State, along with other ACC schools, but this article is about Florida State. So we're going to try to just talk about Florida State when it comes to this, what they might be doing here. Right? They're priming the pump. They're spending as much money as they possibly can, Florida State, to look as attractive as possible to the SEC and the Big Ten. And they might have to take some investments away from their other sponsored sports. It's right here in black and white, ladies and gentlemen. Right here. They would continue spending at the highest levels in football and men's basketball and women's basketball, while backing off the spending in some non-revenue sports. Because it's simply math. It is simply math, ladies and gentlemen. It's simply math. Thank you for the super chat, Evil Badger. Thank you for the super chat, Evil Badger. I'll get to them in a moment. Thank you so very much, Evil Badger. I appreciate it. Took another shot at my beloved Golden Gophers. I will get to it. So we've been talking about how the Olympic sports and the ACC, even the basketball programs, seem to be slipping a little bit. Slipping behind the SEC, slipping behind the Big 12 in basketball, and looks like they're slipping behind the Big 10, possibly, maybe. We'll see what happens next year and the year after that. But the ACC is a math issue. It's a revenue issue. It's becoming an exposure issue, but we'll just talk about revenues right now. That Florida State is thinking about scaling back the investment on the other sponsored sports. This is not what Notre Dame wants to hear. Now, you can't blame Florida State. You can't blame North Carolina. You can't blame North Carolina State. You cannot blame these universities and their athletic departments, because they're falling behind the financial gap, right, between themselves and the SEC and the Big Ten. So they got to push more dollars to the football programs, men's basketball programs, the revenue creators, and they're going to pull back on their non-revenue creators. But that is not what Notre Dame wants to hear, and they are hearing it. We've told you this. Let's take a step. Let's go back in time. This was 3 years ago. 3 years ago on 3. This is Jack Swarbrick. At that time, the current athletic director, and then he handed it off to Pete Bavacqua. This is Jack Swarbrick. 3 years ago. And this is not the only time he has said this. I've given you examples. He said it on the Dan Patrick Show. He said it at a question and answer period at Notre Dame. He has said this so many times, so many different years, but people still can't pick up on it. This is Jack Swarbrick. I don't know if it was particularly close, i.e. the Notre Dame leaving to join the conference, to leave the football independence. But if we hadn't been able to find a home for our Olympic sports with the ACC, maintaining football independence would have been problematic. Swarbrick told Patrick. We needed a partner who would allow our Olympic sports to participate at the level we want them to. Jack Swarbrick has put this warning out many times over. To maintain our football independence in South Bend, we have to have a home for our Olympic sports that they can compete at the highest levels. It's not just about playoff access. It's not just about how much money we're going to get from our network, Tier 1 contract for football. Where can we park our Olympic sports to where they can participate at the highest level? Now, being in the ACC, Jack Swarbrick said this in 2014. He said, this is a great place for us, a great place for our sponsored sports other than football. But things have changed, haven't they? All these years later, again, this is 2023, on 3. All these years later, the ACC is a conference on the ropes, just like the Big East was back then. It is not nearly as strong as the Big Ten or the Southeastern Conference. That's alarming for Notre Dame, considering national powers like the Irish lacrosse, basketball, soccer, etc. all compete in the ACC. It's alarming for Notre Dame. This was 3 years ago. What do you think it is now? Swarbrick told Patrick, all the major conferences are a possibility. When Patrick asked if Notre Dame might join the ACC as a football member at some point. It wasn't a walking back of recent comments from him swearing by independence. Rather, it was an inferential admission. It was an admission that the landscape is ever changing and that Notre Dame might one day need to join a conference. We needed a partner that would allow our Olympic sports to participate at the level we want them to. So Florida State is scaling back. The other ACC schools are scaling back, possibly treating their Olympic-sponsored sports as more of club teams with the scholarships. The ACC, we already see evidence of it. We already see evidence of the ACC not quite being able to stay up, keep up. Forget about football for a moment. We're talking about the other sponsored sports. Now, your question might be, Greg, okay. Does Notre Dame really want to support their programs at the level they need to win a national championship? Can't they do this on their own? They don't need, they can still do it in the ACC conference, even if the ACC payouts are $73 million in 2036, while the Big Ten and the SEC payouts are like $130 million. Notre Dame, they make enough money, they can do what they want. But again, remember, if we go into our own silos, Notre Dame is going to have to go by the rules of the ACC in their sponsored sports. And again, Notre Dame is going to be feeling the pressure. Let me show you another example. Remember, a few years ago, 2017, 18, whatever it was, Notre Dame men's hockey left Hockey East. And the Notre Dame's men's hockey team joined the Big Ten. A story that we were fortunate here at College Football's Peek Around the Corner when I did it I did not have a YouTube channel at the time, but we broke that story. Locally here in Minnesota, nationally, that the Big Ten and Notre Dame were talking with each other. From our Notre Dame source that has been telling us information the last few months that we've been delivering to you here in 2026. There's reasons why Notre Dame left Hockey East to join the evil Big Ten in men's hockey. Number one, it's travel. Notre Dame, Jack Swarbrick has talked about it in public. We don't want to travel to these small locations. We don't want to travel to these places that we land our airplane, then we have to take a bus and take a 2-hour bus ride. We didn't want the disadvantage in the Hockey East where everybody could travel by bus, but we would have to take a plane and then travel by bus. And also Notre Dame knew what the future was going to be when it came to sports, college sports, right? This was today. Mike McMahon, College Hockey Insider, reports that the escalating bidding wars are dominating the initial week of men's hockey transfer portal, with coaches noting that player negotiations frequently open with baseline demands of $30,000. The Big Ten has emerged as the clear beneficiary of the open market, standing as the only conference to net a positive player value in college hockey news. Chip Metric has Wisconsin, Notre Dame, Minnesota, and Michigan State lead the country in talent acquisitions. Now, I know a lot of you are not college hockey fans, but the money advantage is now starting to emerge in college hockey. And the Big Ten is starting to emerge. Sooner or later, they're going to win their first national title as a conference, and the doors are going to be blown wide open. And Notre Dame is in the Big Ten's men's hockey conference, and they're not leaving that. They're not. They've already left Hockey East to join men's Big Ten hockey conference because because of the ongoing advantages of being in the Big Ten hockey conference has to offer. McMahon explains how top-tier athletes are capitalizing on a blended compensation structure that includes up to $15,000 in university-distributed Alston payments, cost of attendance stipends, NIL, revenue sharing, full cost of attendance. Players don't seem to care or fully understand the distinction between the categories, but the Big Ten schools and Notre Dame are outspending NCHC Hockey East by a lot, and that is going to continue to go on. Notre Dame is not going to go from Big Ten's men's hockey and go back to Hockey East. And I'm not saying that anybody's saying that, but I'm just showing you an illustration. Notre Dame's not going back. But what about their other sponsored sports? Notre Dame has made it known, not just in the last decade, but in the last 30 years, they've got their sponsored sports, their Olympic sports, have to be able to compete at the highest levels for them to maintain their college football independence. Do you think that home is in the ACC going forward? Especially if we go into our silos. Do you think the ACC is going to be the home for Notre Dame's Olympic sports going forward? You just heard what Peter Collins said of Florida State. We're going to have to keep that option on the table. We're going to scale back on those sponsored sports, and I don't blame Florida State for doing that. Do you think Notre Dame is going to stay in the ACC, their sponsored sports? Do you think that Notre Dame would be best served if they sent their sponsored sports from the ACC to the Big East? Why would they make more money in the Big East? How could they get more exposure in the Big East? They don't have the ACC network. I think it's quite obvious. And it matches everything we are hearing. Notre Dame is going to have to make a decision. And maybe they can buy more time by trying to figure out a quasi-football independent scheduling agreement with the Southeastern Conference or with the Big Ten if the Big Ten bends the knee. But something is going to change at Notre Dame. Something has got to give. Just like something's got to give at Florida State. They're going to scale back their spending except for basketball and football. Something has got to give. And it's probably going to be within the next 24 months. As we have reported to you, there are, now all I can say, and we've been saying this for a couple of months, we've got information here at College Football Peek Around the Corner that on or before June 1st, 2027, North Carolina wants to make that decision on what their future is going to look like. We were given that information, and I can't get any more into it as that. We reported this a couple of months ago, and now Michael Alford is saying within the next 24 months. These are the important next 24 months. Okay, let's get to your super chats here. Thank you for the 144 people who have joined us. I very much appreciate it. Thank you so very kindly. I appreciate it. We've got a $2 holler. We've got the Eva Badger. Thank you for the $2 holler, Eva Badger. Very much appreciate it. Thank you very much. Thank you for your generosity, sure. I appreciate it, sir. Yogi Buck, I think the Florida State Money Perch got an update from the same workshop this info is coming from. And I would say, Yogi Buck, I cannot confirm nor deny, but I will say, can I say that? Well, I think it's obvious. I will confirm that. But I also will say that, you know, there's direct communication and there's indirect communication. There is direct communication, information coming from Florida State's leadership, coming from slides. And then there is that indirect communication where people are talking afterwards. And I am going to not go any further than that, other than to say I will continue to stand by our report on Friday night, what the Florida State Money Perch said. More optimistic. Way more optimistic than he's ever been. So, okay, we've got Evo Badger. My goodness. It's an I do declare. The Evo Badger, I will add this to the board. In my final I do declare, the beloved Minnesota Golden Gophers will finish below 500 and have an empty trophy case. I'm going to give evaluation a 4. I'm not going to give a 5, but I'm going to give a 4 because that is outlandish, Evo Badger. That is outlandish, but thank you for the $5 holler. Thank you. I appreciate the generosity. Tomorrow's live show, you're going to see that update, Evo Badger, along with all the other I do declare comments. And we are going to have an I do declare World College Football Champion at the end of the college championship football game early in 2027. Thank you so much, Evo Badger. Very much appreciate it. Thank you for your generosity. I think you're a little bit out there on that prediction, but I thank you very much. We've got Preston from Greensboro, North Carolina. Super chat. North Carolina has over a $500 million endowment for scholarships, which almost covers all scholars for all sports. UNC is unlikely to cut Olympic spending except maybe salaries. Olympic sports, a drop in the bucket. Thank you for the $10 holler, Preston from Greensboro. I don't know about. I don't think it's. Look, I think we did a live shot during one of North Carolina's Board of Regents meetings. We covered it live after their link. And there was some battles going on at North Carolina. Remember, they were going after Bubba Cunningham for his budget and the budget woes. And I don't think it's as bunny rabbits and rainbows as you make it out to be, Preston from Greensboro. But all right, I appreciate the $10 holler. Appreciate it very much, sir. Thank you for your generosity. Thank you for your generosity. Preston from Greensboro, Olympic spending, a drop in the bucket. A drop in the bucket. Sunshine and rainbows, bunny rabbits, sunshine, rainbows, unicorns. Okay. All right. Let me see here. Make sure I got everything. Make sure I'm caught up. Boop, 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 boo. Yes, I am. Let's get to your phone calls. Ladies and gentlemen, when you call in, you can talk about anything in college football that your heart desires. You don't have to talk about anything that I just talked about today. You don't have to talk about the Auburn Tigers and the spotlight that we put on them. You don't have to talk about the article from warchant.com. You can talk about anything that your heart desires. Super chats, same way. You put down the super chat. We talk about what you want to talk about. Again, the phone number is 763-260-1333. 763-260-1333. And again, it was not by coincidence that we received information from the Florida State Money Perch on a Friday night. And then you heard about what happened last week at warchant.com. We gave you the peek around the corner in the way that we could. But if you missed it, go back to our Friday live show. You can watch the whole thing. Phone lines are open. 156 people in the chat. Oh my goodness. Thank you guys. If you haven't done it yet, please subscribe to the channel and then ring that notification bell. I appreciate it. And smash that like button if you've liked our content today. And we're going to be on live tomorrow. This is not going away. People keep asking, Greg, why do you keep talking about 2027, 28? Why do you keep talking about things are not done, not settled, nothing is imminent, but there's a lot of positioning going on? Because that is what's going on. And you've got to be able to try to figure out the boots on the ground situation. Michael Alford said the next 24 months are very important because we believe there could be potentially more movement within the industry that's within the next 24 months. So we need to make sure daily that we are preparing ourselves for that. Daily. That is a non-disclosure agreement way of saying we are positioning ourselves not only what we're doing, but what is Miami doing? What is North Carolina doing? What is Clemson doing? What is Utah doing? What is Kansas doing? What is happening around us? What is the Big Ten thinking? What is the SEC thinking? Are they going in their silos? We got to be able to maintain our spending. We did our football program. We did our football stadium. We did our athletic facility daily. And they got to figure out what is happening politically with the SCORE Act. What is happening? Are we going to get support from the Florida Gators? Is Clemson going to get support from the South Carolina Gamecocks? Daily positioning. What is going up in there in Virginia? What is going on in North Carolina? We all know that North Carolina is the belle of the ball. What is happening in North Carolina? Daily positioning. And Michael Alford said, we think, we believe there is potential movement in the industry the next 24 months. I mean, Mark Coyle said that out in the open. And I don't think anyone's paying. I know the PATC family's paying attention, but other than that, I got a loud voice. But I don't market my program. I don't spend money on promotions. My voice is very limited. It kind of reminds me of the USC situation where I couldn't get anybody's attention. I finally got USC 247. They acknowledged the story that I had, and they were starting to do podcasts on it. They were on it. Minnesota 247. But John Wilner didn't get back to me. Costanzo didn't get... None of those people out west got back to me. And I gave them the information. And I think a lot of people are not... I think what's going on, I think people get in a position and then they're stuck in that position. And that's not how this works. Nothing has been done. Nothing has been settled. Nothing has been decided. So if that hasn't happened, then it's not static. What happened at UVA here in the last 5 months, that's important. What happened in North Carolina with the Board of Governors, that was really important. What Florida State is doing to improve themselves, those stories are really important. I mean, and the Notre Dame thing, the Notre Dame people keep telling you, they keep telling everybody, this is what we need to maintain football independence. And I think 90%, 95% of the people who follow this stuff, they have no idea that Notre Dame has said we need to maintain at the highest level of competition with our Olympic sports. And Swarbrick has said this in public, 10 times? And in private, they have said it 1,000,000 times. And people still are not picking up on that. And I think it's because people are in they're in their silos. They don't think there can be any change. Or we've heard people say, great. If it hasn't happened already, then it's never going to happen. That is the absolute wrong way of looking at all of this stuff.
From
Caden.
I'm sorry, did not get the name?
It is Caden the Diesel Freak.
Oh,
right?
Caden the Diesel Freak. Thank you for your phone call. The floor is yours.
So, Greg, how you doing tonight, good buddy?
I'm doing great. I'm doing fantastic.
You know what, Greg? I've been sitting at home and for like the last 3 months and then watching the Ohio State spring game. I watched it this past Saturday while I was out working, and I just wanted to say that it was what I thought it was going to be. Another demonstration by the Ohio State Buckeyes of why they are proven to be the number one team in the Big Ten and should be the number one team in the country.
Yeah, but they did give Julian Sayin a touchdown, which that was not a touchdown. It was not a touchdown on that drive.
Well, we can agree to disagree, Greg. I'm just going to leave it at that.
Okay, all right.
Well, because I'm a Buckeye fan and I take my Buckeyes very seriously, and I have a good relationship with the football team. And, well, you're a Minnesota Gopher fan.
Yes, I am. Yes, I am.
But let me just say this, Greg. Ohio State this year is a lot more elite, a lot more physical, and they've proven that in the spring game also. Their defense, I know our defense is going to be stepping up this year for, who knows of what reasons. But also to beat our opponents by more than double digits. I think that's no coincidence of that Ohio State defense. Excuse me. But to give you another thing here, too, Greg, and I mentioned, and I've been meaning to call in, it's just I've been so dang busy, or I've had not the opportunity to. But the other thing is that as far as the SEC is concerned, the only team I see going back to the college football playoffs undefeated from the SEC is Georgia. To be truthful, Greg, and that's not biased.
What did you just say? Georgia is the only team that is going to go back to the playoffs in the SEC that were in it last year?
I think I'm saying it pretty clear, ain't I, Greg? That Georgia is going to be one of the few undefeated teams this season that goes back to the college football playoffs.
Okay, got it. I'm sorry, sir. Sorry, I apologize.
And does a significant amount of damage to their schedule.
Yeah.
And as far as I'm concerned of the ACC, I only see Miami. Georgia Tech's still unproven, and from what I've seen from Mario Cristobal and the last two seasons of Miami football, I could say my confidence is in Miami as far as the ACC is concerned. The Big 12 is kind of a run up for me of my money, but I'll figure that out once college football really kicks off. But as far as the three main conferences, it's Ohio State, Georgia, Miami, my top three teams to go back to the college football playoffs undefeated this season. And then here's the other thing too, Greg. Everybody's been talking about teams moving from conference to conference, group of five going to the SEC or the ACC, or people going to who's where. And I've heard the past couple of shows, Greg.
Good. I'm glad you have.
And I will say, whoever goes to the SEC from the ACC, and I believe it to be, and I said this before about 2 months ago, Greg, to you. I said, the teams that do go from the ACC to the SEC, that being North Carolina, NC State, Florida State, Clemson, and whoever else, they're going to have to deal with Georgia twice a year. And and basically Georgia's going to run through NC State, North Carolina, Florida State, and Clemson with no apologies. I mean, that's just all they've done with the SEC. They've ran through the SEC with no apologies.
So what you're saying is that some of those programs shouldn't even want to get to the SEC because the Georgia Bulldogs are sitting in the doorway. That's what you're saying?
Exactly, Greg. I mean, you're reading my mind here, brother.
Well, I might be reading your mind, but I don't think that's going to stop somebody that wants to go to higher ground. You join another conference, not just for your football program, but for your other sports, the front porch of your university, the exposure, the money, to make sure you're at the highest level possible. I don't think anyone's going to turn down a Southeastern Conference invite because Don Scruggs, Wendy Scruggs, Georgia Bulldogs are sitting in the front door.
Well, I mean, that's the truth too, Greg.
Okay.
I think Georgia literally sitting at the front door, and they don't care who comes into the SEC. They're just another team that gets beaten by a Georgia defense that's proven for 3 years consecutively that they proved to be the most dominant defense in the SEC. And, I mean, as far as anybody that comes to the Big Ten, it's the same case.
That's
Ohio
right.
State's
That's
gonna be
right.
waiting.
Because the Gopher is going to be standing in the front door. Right, Caden?
Greg, you didn't let me finish my dang sentence.
Got it. All right, go ahead, sir. I apologize.
I was saying, as far as I'm concerned, if anybody coming to the Big Ten, Ohio State is going to be the first team at the door and is going to open up a serious can of an ass kicking on anybody. I guarantee you that, without apology.
Got it.
As far as USC, we're just going to kick their butt, Oregon's butt, Washington's butt. You get my point.
Got it.
Anybody who joins the Big Ten is basically going to get.
All right, wrap it up, sir. Wrap it up. You got one more shot. Go ahead, sir.
But I think I've made my point pretty clear, Greg.
All right.
College football this season is going to be good. Ohio State's going to be back to the national championship with my two other selections.
Got it.
And I'll tell you what, I'm pretty pumped, and Ohio State football is looking really good right now, Greg. So
I appreciate
your time, sir. As always, go Bucks, go for suck, and we'll see you next time.
Got it. All right. Appreciate it, sir. He just took a shot. He just took a shot at my Gophers. We've got a super chat, and then we got kind of sort of a breaking news, but not really breaking news. We'll get to that in a moment. Super chat from Preston from Greensboro, North Carolina. Hi, dollar holla. Cutting Olympic sports doesn't save very much money, especially when the scholarships are already covered. Cutting the fencing team does nothing. True. But to invest in those programs, to make them be able to compete at the highest levels, i.e. NIL dollars, i.e. pushing buckets of money coming from your football, your shoe contract in your athletic department, and pushing it over to your NIL, doing your play fly, your near field. They're pushing money around to fulfill this NIL football roster, basketball. To do all of that money, it's got to come from somewhere, and less and less money is going to go to your Olympic sports. It doesn't mean that. I understand what you're saying about not cutting the sports, but it's not just about maintaining these teams. It's about being able to invest in them in the way that you want to invest in them to compete at the highest level in those sports. You know, Notre Dame loves their lacrosse. Very good lacrosse program. Well, you know, they don't want to get too far behind the funding that the Maryland's gets, right? They don't want to fall too behind on that. Hockey. They're in the right hockey conference as far as I'm concerned for the next decade, because I just showed you a report that Big Ten is now blowing the doors off in money investment in acquiring talent. On and on and on in every sport. That's what I'm talking about. I'm not saying necessarily that the ACC is going to be turning the lights off on these Olympic sports. But again, you just heard what Florida State Peter Collins just said. That Florida State might have to pull back on their investment in these Olympic sports. And by the way, I do think the Buckeyes are absolutely loaded. I've got them winning the national championship. I think the Miami Hurricanes are absolutely loaded. And I do think Corey Heatherford and Dawson and Cristobal are working like a machine. They're loaded. We've already did the spotlight on Miami Hurricanes. They're loaded. Let me thank you so much, Preston from North Carolina. Thank you for the super chat. Very much appreciated. I just want to show you this. It's not breaking news, but it is breaking news. It's not, but it is. It's not, but it is. About an hour ago, about an hour ago, the great Brett McMurphy did a repost. Florida State Athletic Director Michael Alford, the next 24 months are very important because we think there could be potentially more movement within the industry. So we need to make sure daily that we're preparing ourselves for that. When you've got the great Brett McMurphy, and I know some of you don't like him, some of you do like him, but when it comes to, there is no better. There is absolutely no better. And when he puts this out there, when he isolates this statement, 24 months, we think at Florida State, 24 months. It's not 24 months from now. It's not 24 months from now. It's the next 24 months. Very important. Mark Coyle, 2 days from now or 2 years from now, they expect movement. That's the University of Minnesota Athletic Director said it 4 months ago. We have been here at Peek Around the Corner. You can take it however you want it, but we were told a couple of months ago, we reported a couple of months ago, we reported about once a week that there's information out there that the University of North Carolina, Chapel Hill is going to do all they can to figure out what they're going to figure out for the future on or before June 1st, 2027. Not June 1st, 2028. Not on or before June 1st, 2029. Not on or before June 1st, 2030. June 1st, 2027. And then the whole Notre Dame situation, I'm just going to say, Miami, Florida State, North Carolina, these schools have big value, okay? Big value. Clemson, they're being impacted on this change in landscape. These schools are being impacted and they have to prepare for a new future. It should not shock anybody that Notre Dame is going to be impacted by this, even though they are a big, powerful brand, huge brand, incredible brand, significant brand in our history. But they're going to be impacted because the ones that they associate with are being impacted. So it should not be that much of a shock. I mean, you guys should see the stuff I get sent to in my DMs. You hate Notre Dame. You don't want Notre Dame to keep their football independence. Hey, go do it. I love Notre. I love watching. No, I shouldn't say I love Notre Dame, but I love watching them get beat. But you know, it's just again, Jack Swarbrick, 3 years ago, on 3, covering the Dan Patrick interview. I don't know if it was particularly close. Notre Dame losing their football independence. But if we hadn't been able to find a home for Olympic sports with the ACC, maintaining football independence would have been problematic. We needed a partner who would allow our Olympic sports to participate at a level we want them to. Not just we needed a partner that would allow our Olympic sports to participate. That is not the question. The question is the ACC going forward going to be the right partner for Jack Swarbrick, or not Jack Swarbrick anymore, but Pete Bavacqua, for Notre Dame Olympic sports to participate at the level we want them to. And Jack Swarbrick has been saying this since 2014. Notre Dame moved their hockey out of Hockey East to the Big Ten. They're going to be willing to make the move once again. If the ACC is not the right home. And if Miami leaves, if Florida State leaves, if North Carolina leaves, and Notre Dame is still sitting in the eighth, come on. It should not be shocking to anybody what is going on here. Hopefully. We've been trying to say it here at College Football Peek Around the Corner for the last couple of years. I am so happy that Michael Alford said what he said last week. And again, we were given the information. We gave you the Peek Around the Corner Friday night. Florida State money perch. If you missed our live show Friday night, go back and watch it. Florida State money perch got a hold of us, and it was real obvious that he's as optimistic as he's ever been. And pretty much he has been pessimistic the whole time. But suddenly he was optimistic. Well, it wasn't by coincidence. This didn't happen by coincidence. He knew what was being laid down in front of the Board of Trustees, the boosters. The word got out. People have been talking. We got into the information. We gave it to you on Friday night. This came out Monday morning. There is the positioning that is going on daily. Nothing done, nothing settled, but things are happening daily. And there is enough NDAs out there to light a forest fire in the middle of Lake Superior. The NDAs, you're not going to hear Miami Hurricanes say the following. Yeah, we think we got an inside track to the Big Ten. We're talking to the Big Ten. We're looking at the Big Ten, 12 months from now, blah. You're not going to hear any of that because people have signed an NDA. You're not going to hear Florida State talk about the Big Ten and the SEC. You're not going to be hearing Clemson talk about how they're working with North Carolina and trying to figure out a package deal, trying to motivate the SEC, North Carolina, Clemson together. You're not going to hear any of that. This is about as far as it's going to go. When Michael Alford said the next 24 months are important. We believe there is potential movement in the next 24 months. He did not say for sure that it's going to happen because, there's dynamics out there that world war, world depression, another COVID, who knows? But this is the chatter. Michael Alford brought out what has been going on, the chatter behind the curtain. And when you got a guy like Brett McMurphy, there's a lot of things that Brett McMurphy is not going to put out there, but he put this out there because he deemed that as important, relevant, and I don't want to put words in his mouth because he doesn't know me from a hole in the wall, but I think it probably means there's some valid truth to it. It's valid. The statement that Michael Alford said is valid. Again, the phone lines are open, 763-260-1333, 763-260-1333, and we've got the Evil Badger, I'm still upset that Wisconsin dropped baseball 35 years ago. Yeah, and it's hard to add on because of the Title IX implications. Yeah, that's not cool, but that happened a long time ago, Evil Badger. I'm sure for the last 35 years, you have been rooting on the Golden Gophers baseball team. I'm sure you've done that, and we thank you. We thank you for your support, Evil Badger. Thank you for your $5 holler. Very much appreciate it. I do want to thank Mowing After Dark, Preston from North Carolina, MBM, Bill G, Osceola Trucker, Evil Badger, Preston from North Carolina, Evil Badger once again. Thank you guys for your generosity. I very much appreciate it. There has only been one I do declare to be added on. Evil Badger, I do declare the Gophers will finish below 500 and have an empty trophy case. Evil Badger, is that below 500 in Big Ten Conference play, or is that below 500 total in 12 games? Because I'm going to treat it as below 500 in total 12 games unless you tell me differently. Unless you tell me differently. Thank you, Preston from Greensboro. Appreciate it.
From
Morris Simmons.
Morris Simmons, Mr. Seminole is on the line. Thank you for calling, sir. It's been a long time since I've heard your great voice. Go ahead, sir.
Yeah,
the floor is yours.
Yes, it's been a while. Greg, I'm telling you, it's frustrating when you know to play the chips that's on the table. You know Notre Dame is going to go into the Big Ten. Everybody know that's going to happen.
I don't know that for sure, but go ahead.
Okay.
Yeah.
No, I don't see them going to the SEC. I'm going to put it that way. I don't see them going to the SEC.
Yeah.
But I do see them going to Notre Dame going to the Big Ten. That being said, it seems like the Big Ten holds the leverage. It's not Notre Dame that holds the leverage. Big Ten holds the leverage. At any time, Big Ten can make a move and bring in who they want to bring in. It's going to draw Notre Dame in either way. I don't understand the waiting part of it because it's frustrating to know, that Notre Dame is going to come to the Big Ten. And then you're giving them you're treating them like they got leverage over you when they need a home for all their sports. They're going to come into the Big Ten. And if they come in, then all the dominoes will start falling. Another thing I look at, Greg, is if the Big Ten is trying to attract Amazon gonna want big fish. They're gonna want the big programs. They're gonna want the eyeballs. They're gonna want that. You're gonna have to bring in Florida State because, truth be told, I understand whatever you got people in the Big Ten from Miami. That's good. I'm not gonna hate on our rivals. That's good. But at the same token, when I looked at what was that guy on Big Ten Mafia over there, and he broke everything down. Notre Dame, when you make the comparison, they're number one for going where they got to go. Number two was Florida State. They bring just as much money and attention to any conference. I'm saying that because numbers don't lie. And that's what people are going to have to look at. Big Ten is in a position where they can go ahead and make the moves instead of waiting on the SEC Cup. Truth be told, if you wait around, the SEC is going to come to Florida State with the money that we can't turn down because it seems like this is dragging out way too long than what it has to be. Mm-hmm. That's the only thing I'm saying.
Yeah.
And I as a diehard Florida State fan, it just kills me that this is dragging out way too long. Because everybody know at the end of the day, Florida State going to go to either one of these conferences. Either one of the conferences we go to, we're going to thrive in it. We just got to change our coat.
Yeah. No, I get you.
Okay.
Well, I will say this, Morris Simmons. I'll say this. I agree. I'm not going to quite go as far as you are doing tonight. I do think Notre Dame has some leverage when they're discussing it with the Big Ten. I don't think they have as much leverage now as they would have done it if they joined when USC joined. I agree with you on that. Their leverage is slipping, and it's going to slip even more because things are going to become really obvious, in my opinion, and it seems like your opinion. But I do think they have some leverage right now. And it's interesting, how much leverage do they have? Are they going to be able to call a shot? If Notre Dame is school 19, are they going to be able to call the shot on who school number 20 is? Are they going to be able to do that? I don't know. I really don't know. Before I would have said definitely yes. But now I don't know because I kind of agree with you, sir. Go ahead.
Mm-hmm. I agree with you on that. Notre Dame had the leverage early on in this conversation of where they wanted to go. But right now, as time goes by, yes, where's the leverage? They're going to start losing it. Yes, everybody going to start feeling pressure. Florida State feeling pressure. Notre Dame feeling pressure. Big Ten, SEC going to start feeling pressure because it's too much. It's going to be too much money on the table. It's too many people trying to get where they need to get. Amazon want to get into college football. Hey, you got to make some moves here.
Yeah.
You got to make some moves.
Yeah. I think everyone's got to wait. You know how now this happened to me, Morris. It might not have happened to you, but it happened to me. I'm playing Little League Baseball, right? I'm playing for the Robbinsdale Yankees, Minnesota Robbinsdale Yankees, 1980 baseball team. We went to the state final, and we got beat by Minnetonka 13-0. But I was number 5 in the lineup. Now, number 5 hitter, you're supposed to have some power, right? You're batting behind. I was batting behind Dave Gasparic, who batted cleanup. But I got to be honest with you, Morris Simmons, I did not have any power. In fact, it was a rare outcome that I could hit the ball outside of my shadow. Okay? Embarrassing, but being truthful. So, when I hit that weak ground ball to the second baseman, even though I was a right-hander, but because I did not have the torque, because I did not pull the ball, because I weakly ground the ball to second base, the coach always knew I was going to do that. He would yell at me, "Run out that ground ball, Greg. Run out that ground ball. I know I'm going to be thrown out, but run it out. You got to run it out." And I think that's what the SEC and the Big Ten are doing in regards to the SCORE Act, because they spent so much time, so many political IOUs, so much money in trying to get this passed. They're not going to make any moves until they know for sure if the SCORE Act lives or if the SCORE Act dies. Once we heard that it dies, or once we heard the Nebraska 18 wins their arbitration, now the doors get blown off their hinges, and now there's going to be some action. Go ahead, sir.
I think that SCORE Act is dead on arrival. That is not going nowhere.
Yeah.
I think that's dead on arrival, and I understand that they both conferences, as well as Notre Dame, they really want a lot of things to happen, but it's not going to happen. It just ain't going to happen. They just don't have the political clout right now to make it happen and everything. And like I said, college football is big money now. Yeah. Everybody know that. Everybody see it now. So it is what it is. So you might well go ahead and rip that Band-Aid off and let's get down to business.
Yep. I think a lot of people are probably nodding their head in agreement with you, Mr. Simmons.
Mm. All right, well, Greg, it's been nice talking, but I'm going to get back to your show and what you got to say and what's going on behind the scene in the chat room.
Yep, so you got it. I appreciate it, sir. Thank you very much.
All right.
Great call. Excellent call. Now, for those who did watch our live Friday show. For those who didn't, it'd be my advice to go watch it, some of it, live show Friday night. For those who did watch it, if you remember, I made a comment about how this is not the end of what the Florida State Money Perch told us. Remember? I said, we think there's going to be a part 2. There's some stuff in an email that I would love to read to you. But I couldn't talk about it at the time. I don't know if anybody remembers that I said that on the Friday Night Live show. Go back and watch it. I'm still working on that part 2 to give the okay to be able to read what was part of that email. Now remember, it's out there, warchant.com, they put it out there, that there was this retreat and all this. So, now I think it's even more, I think that the chances of me being able to describe more of this email, I think the chances of that has gone up. So, I don't think we're done with that story yet. MBM, we do have an I do declare, the second one of the evening. MBM. I do declare that Dabo is the first big-time program coach that gets fired. Now, it's sort of hard. I'm going to have to make a ruling at the time. If Dabo gets fired, I'm going to have to make a ruling. Was he the first big-time head coach, or was there somebody else who got fired was a big-time head coach? But I'll make that decision. I am the judge and the jury. MBM, we are officially going to add that to the I do declares predictions. Is that MBM's first one? RT, Brooks, Alani, Ted, Maynard, Cranky Tiger, Big Gunshot, Maynard, Preston, Buckeye, Greg, Austin, Studzilla. Yes, that is the first. That's the first one. The first I do declare by MBM. And I'm probably going to have to give that a 4 or a 5. That is high risk, high benefit. I do declare by the great one, the Oklahoma State Cowboy, MBM. We've also got a super chat, a very generous super chat coming in from Noah Berman. At what point do we get a college football super league? Seems inevitable. BYU and Texas Tech have as much money as anyone, but no rumors of SEC Big Ten invites. Unlike Utah and Virginia, too many teams missing out in the current format. Well, again, the question is, thank you for the $10 holler, Mr. Berman. I appreciate it very much. Thank you for your generosity. I don't know. See, I don't know how a Super League could work. The Super League does not, there's lots of reasons why I don't think it's going to work, but it does not help you with an antitrust violation protection, right? It doesn't help you with that. A Super League is not going to be any more credible in setting rules and enforcing rules than the NCAA, because it would have market power. The SEC going their own way and creating their own rules, enforcing their own rules, they do not have market power. The Big Ten going their own way, the ACC going their own way, the Big 12 going their own way. At least the perception is by leaders in those conferences, if we go our own way, according to the Ivy League decision that was just handed down a couple of weeks ago, the Alston decision, it sounds like we're going to be able to have that credibility in the courts that as a conference we can make our own rules and enforce our own rules. And that have all these lawsuits come raining down on us, we will have some protections. A Super League, I think the Super League runs into the same issues. In regards to BYU and Texas Tech, who knows where this ends up? Who knows? Look, there could be the emergence of a third conference. A third conference that might have a BYU, Texas Tech, and who knows, some of these big power, big brands in the ACC. It might be a best of the rest. It might emerge. It might start winning. It might have the viewership. It might emerge as a powerhouse conference. Nothing is forever here in our college football world, right? Nothing is forever. Who knows, these big, large conferences that the Big Ten is still probably going to build bigger, and SEC, they might get into some fracture along the way. It's hard to govern an 18-team conference. It's going to be even more difficult to govern a 20-team conference, a 22-team conference, a 24-team conference, especially when these schools become a little bit more diversified, more regions of the country, more different politics, different fan bases, different culture, different, all that stuff. All that stuff is part of it. So who knows where it all ends up? Noah Berman, but nothing is settled. Nothing is done. I do not have BYU, Texas Tech rumors. I don't have that information. But if I ever do, I'm going to talk about it. I'm going to talk about it here at Peek Around the Corner. You better believe it. Thank you, Noah Berman. Thank you for your generosity. Appreciate it very much. Very much. I want to thank all you guys coming on in. I really do. We've been on the air for over 2 hours, so we're going to close it up, I believe. We are going to close it up again. I do want to thank Mowing After Dark, Preston from North Carolina, MBM, Bill G, Osceola Trucker, Eva Badger, again Eva Badger, Preston from North Carolina, again Preston from North Carolina, again from Eva Badger, MBM, and Noah Berman for all of your contributions, your donations to the program to help us keep the lights on and grow the channel. I appreciate it. The wonderful phone calls. Again, love it. I absolutely love it. We're going to be coming on live tomorrow. Live show tomorrow. So buckle up and brace for impact. Before you leave, make sure you subscribe, ring the notification bell, and smash the like button. And if you missed it, go back and watch it. Episode 486 was dropped earlier today. Go check that out. It had to do with Michael Alford in Florida State and the Board of Trustees retreat and all that good stuff, and a little bit of Notre Dame at the end. Until next time, from all of us at PATC, to all of you, please you all take great care of each other. And as always, God, family, and our beloved Minnesota.